In 1981, San Francisco salesman Chris Gardener invests his entire life savings in portable bone density scanners, which he demonstrates to doctors and pitches as a handy improvement over standard X-rays. The scanners play a vital role in Chris's life. While he is able to sell most of them, the time lag between the sales and his growing financial demands enrages his wife, Linda, who works as a hotel maid. This white elephant financially breaks the family, bringing troubles to his relationship with his wife Linda, who leaves him and moves to New York, where she has taken a job in a pizza parlor. Their son Christopher stays with Chris because he and his wife both know that he will be able to take better care of him. When he is selling one of his scanner, he saw a man came out of a wonderful car. Chris asked the man what is he doing for living and how. The man replied that he is an intern stockbroker and point out the place he is working. Chris sees that everybody coming out of the building is very happy and they have a wonderful lifestyle. Chris is trying to sell one of the scanners. He meets Jay Twistle, a lead manager and partner for Dean Witter Reynolds, and impresses him by solving a Rubik's Cube during a taxi ride. After Jay leaves, Chris lacks the money to pay the fare and chooses to run instead, causing the driver to angrily chase him into a BART station. Chris boards a train but loses one of his scanners in the process. However, Chris's new relationship with Jay earns him the chance to become an intern stockbroker. Those two moments motivate Chris to become an intern stockbroker, so he decided to give interview at Dean Witter's office as a new intern stockbroker. The day before the interview, Chris grudgingly agrees to paint his apartment to postpone being evicted due to his difficulty in paying the rent. While painting, Chris is greeted by two policemen at his doorstep, who take him to the police station, stating that Chris has to pay for numerous parking tickets he has accumulated. As part of the sanction, Chris is ordered to spend the night in jail instead, complicating his schedule for the interview the following day. Chris arrives at Dean Witter's office on time, albeit still in shabby clothes, covered in paint. Despite his appearance, Chris still manages to impress the interviewers and lands a 6-month paid internship. He is among 20 interns competing for a paid position as a stockbroker. When he thinks he is stable, he finds that he has lost $600 when the government takes the last bit of money in his bank account for taxes. He is rendered homeless because he can't pay his rent. He is forced at one point to stay in a bathroom at a train station and must scramble from work every day to the Glide Memorial United Methodist Church, which offers shelter to the homeless. Chris and Christopher point to stay in a restroom at a BART station. On other days, Chris and Christopher spend nights at a homeless shelter in BART, or, if Chris manages to procure sufficient cash, at a hotel. Later, Chris finds the bone scanner that he lost in the BART station earlier and, after repairing it, sells it to a physician, thus completing all sales of his scanners. He must leave work early every day so that he is there by 5:00 in the evening along with his son so that he may be assured of a place to sleep. He is seen carrying his suitcase to work because he doesn't have a home. At work, there are 19 other candidates for the one position. Disadvantaged by his limited work hours and knowing that maximizing his client contacts and profits is the only way to earn the broker position, Chris develops several ways to make sales. One sympathetic prospect, Walter Ribbon, a top-level pension fund manager, even takes Chris and Christopher to a San Francisco 49ers game, where Chris befriends some of Mr. Ribbon's friends, who are also potential clients. In all this scenario, Chris works very hard. He even don't drink water to prevent to go to the washroom because he has to arrive at church in time for shelter. Regardless of his challenges, Chris never reveals his lowly circumstances to his colleagues, even going so far as to lend one of his supervisors, Mr. Fromm, $5 for cab fare, a sum Chris cannot afford. He also studies for and aces the stockbroker license exam. As Chris concludes his last day of internship, he is summoned to a meeting with the partners. Mr. Fromm notes that Chris is wearing a shirt. When Mr. Fromm asks Chris about his new suit, Chris replies, this is his last day at intern stockbroker program, so he wants to look good at the end. For which Mr. Fromm says, well, he likes to wear that suit tomorrow, which break down Chris in tears. Life is a struggle for single father Chris Gardener. Evicted from their apartment, he and his young son find themselves alone with no place to go. Even though Chris eventually lands a job as an intern at a prestigious brokerage firm, the position pays no money. The pair must live in shelters and endure many hardships, but Chris refuses to give in to despair as he struggles to create a better life for himself and his son. The final scene shows Chris walking with his son down a street. His son is telling him a joke when a wealthy businessman in a suit walks past. Chris looks back as the man continues on. The man in the suit is none other than the real Chris Gardener.